Big Mouth is everybody's favourite animated sitcom on Netflix at the moment, and today the Valentine special was released to the streaming platform. With the excitement of the special being released, and of course there not being another show that is more suited to having a special all about love, is it actually worth watching? And will it be as funny as the previous 2 seasons before? Well, let's find out. Before I go ahead, make sure you go over to my Twitter @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. So without further ado, I'm Brainpilot, and here is Big Mouth My Furry Valentine review. Just to let you know, there will be spoilers. Obviously. As I mentioned in the introduction, I don't think that there's a show out there at the moment that is more suited to having a Valentine's special other than Big Mouth. With Valentine's Day being a controversial holiday with people either loving it or hating it, the show reflects that perfectly. This special episode starts off stylistically completely different than any other previous episode in the first 2 seasons, and I'm glad they did that. They made it seem like the characters were being interviewed all throughout the show, and it broke the fourth wall on several occasions. I thought that it was a good touch to include this. They embraced the fact that it was a special episode and didn't feel the need to stick to their regular rules. The story in this episode follows each of the characters that we know and love from the show, and it shows us as the audience that as a kid, you have people that care about Valentine's, people that don't, people that feel the pressure of it, and people who still rely on their parents for Valentine's Day. If I'm being honest, there was nothing particularly groundbreaking about the story. It was your stereotypical Valentine's Day. It had people worrying about if they would get a date, if it would go well, and people drifting between 2 dates and changing outfits. But this was all with teenagers instead of adults. I say it was nothing groundbreaking, but there were a few musical numbers in there that were actually quite catchy, and I found myself quite impressed. And as expected, there were some real funny moments that had me in absolute pieces. But that was expected. It's Big Mouth. With Nick, we saw that he found out that he was the only boy to have Connie as a hormone monster, and we see him trying to not embrace his sensitive side. This leads him on a journey to fall out with the hormone monstress and realize that he actually needs Connie to help him. I thought Nick's story arc was one of the most interesting ones and was also one of the main focus points. He's at the stage where he's trying to drift away from his parents, and I feel as though we'll see that story develop more in season 3. With Andrew, we saw him take on a more aggressive side when it came to expressing his love towards Missy. This was by far one of the funniest arcs in the story. Throughout the whole episode, he was trying to be the cool guy that would sweep in and take her off her feet. However, he ended up losing out on her to the guy in the wheelchair. By far, some of the funniest moments came from him. For example, when he fell over and hurt his coccyx, when he got thrown out of the party and ended up hurting himself whilst everybody was looking out the window, and when Maurice said how he looked like his dad when his hat ripped all of his hair off. As well, we saw Jesse team up with Matthew and realize how much they don't need a boy in their life. This is all to get away from Jesse's mum as she's overheard her having sex with her girlfriend on the morning of Valentine's Day. Jesse hates Valentine's Day, and this was an arc of the story that I found a bit boring and I wasn't that fussed about. Another story that we got to follow was with Jay. His one was all based around impressing his 2 pillows and going on 2 separate dates with them at the same time. This is something that we've seen many times in many movies before, but Big Mouth put their own crude, sexual, awkward twist on it, and it made it hilarious. Will the pillow joke ever get old? One element of the story that I was quite surprised at was that Andrew's story arc was never really rounded off. He just got thrown out of the party and made a fool of. This is something that I'm going to be intrigued to see how they pick it up in season 3, if they do at all. As well, it was quite good to see the hormone monster and monstress with all of the individual characters rather than just Andrew, Nick and Jesse. This allowed us to see how their personalities changed towards each of the teenagers and see how different they were. As always, Maurice was hilarious and Connie was just as funny as usual. Although I was quite surprised that we didn't really get to see Maurice be as crude and rude as he usually is. That was something I was slightly disappointed with. One part of the special that I wasn't really a fan of was the fact that we didn't really get to see Nick and Andrew's brotherly best friendship at all. Rarely did we see them on screen together. We didn't get to see their usual personalities shine through and bounce off of each other as much as usual. As well, we didn't really get to see the usual gang all on screen at once as we do in the main show. That's probably my one main issue with the episode. However, each of the individual story arcs were interesting. As well, might I say, when Andrew broke the fourth wall when he shot the ball through the hoop, I thought it was a good joke when they made a reference to other episodes about how Andrew has never landed a shot in the entirety of the show. Overall, I think that this special episode is definitely worth watching, and it's something that will provide you with 45 minutes of belly laughing and awkward moments that you won't want to watch with your parents. It's Big Mouth through and through, and it takes you on a stereotypical Valentine's Day story, but it puts its own original twists on it. I think it's most definitely worth a watch. Maybe don't watch it with your loved one on the special day, or maybe do. It's down to your relationship. If you want to see what I've rated several different shows or movies, then go over to my Letterboxd. As well, comment a show or movie and I'll rate it over there. If you want to say in what videos you see on this channel, then over on the community page I've started releasing polls. Have your say in what videos you see. As well, if you want to support the channel in a different way, then I've recently set up a Patreon. Over there you can get your hands on some exclusive content. Take a look and see what you think. What did you think of the Valentine's Day special? Did you enjoy it? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.